Ciao is a domestic war novel. It takes place in northern Italy, outside of Venice, in an area called the Veneto, in the summer after World War II. We have a woman there named Graziella. She's waiting for her husband to come home from the war. He was a resistance fighter. And he's missing. He hasn't come home yet, though almost everybody else has. And all of a sudden, an American soldier shows up at her family farm, and the story takes off from there.
Who do you think of her as? Do you think of her as Grace in your mind, or do you think of her as Graziella?
I think it's a struggle for her throughout the book after she meets Frank. I think she has thought of herself as Graziella Nevocado now for quite a while, as the wife of Ugo. And then when Frank comes, he speaks English, and she tells him her name is Grace. And there's that yearning, that tug, that North American pull of who she used to be. So there is that tension throughout the book.
He was the youngest. His mother died in childbirth, and he was raised by the older sisters. And he is utterly adored. And
has a gift for singing as a child.
Well, Ugo was the youngest sibling of the Nevocado family. And he has, how many sisters?
5 sisters.
5 sisters. Maria Serena is the oldest.
We have to know the characters in our own book.
Maria Benedetta. There are a lot of sisters. Maria Valentina, Maria Teresa, and Maria Elisabetta. He did think of them as almost kind of a Greek chorus in the sense that they were this sort of united front, and just adding the Maria to that, I think, you know, sort of helped that process. And they are a force to be reckoned with, for sure.
And at one point in the novel, we also refer to them as the witches in Macbeth. And so there's a sort of a sameness to them, and I think that the names actually end up
although they are all
they have their differences.
Distinctness, yes. But they do, at least in the face of Graziella, they do put out a united front.
Ugo disappears, and she's left with his family and doesn't really have a proper place there. She questions that and thinks of herself as Grace again, especially when Frank shows up.
She introduces herself to Frank as being Grace.
There's a language, you know, they both speak English.
Yeah, because they speak English, so she becomes Grace again. And that becomes a struggle for her, especially as the story goes on. Who is she? Is she Grace? Does she belong back in Canada, or does she belong in the U.S. with Frank? Or is she Graziella? I mean, are these people her family now? Is this where she's going to stay?
It was hard.
I mean, we did not have the ending of this story for a very long time. We had a contract for the book before we had an ending for the story, and it was a real struggle to. We felt that we really had to put ourselves in these people's shoes in order to decide how this story ended, and.
We don't want to give away the ending.
No, but it was a real struggle.
Whether to go with Frank or to stay in Italy was ultimately a very difficult decision for Graziella. As the story unfolds, you learn more about Frank. You learn about his role in the war, and it's not easy.